If you ever inherit Blackwater Grand, sell it before sunset, the old man said over the phone before hanging up. Owen Maddox stared at the silent screen in his hand and wondered if the caller had dialed the wrong number. Outside his small cabin in western Montana, the late afternoon sun stretched across the pine trees while Chief, his loyal German shepherd, lifted his head from the porch and watched him with alert brown eyes. Owen had spent most of the last decade avoiding surprises. After leaving the Navy, he built a quiet life measured by simple routines, morning coffee, long walks, and the steady companionship of the dog who had stayed beside him through every difficult year. Yet the certified letter resting on his kitchen table promised to change all of that. According to the document, a man named Walter Maddox, his estranged uncle, had passed away and left him ownership of a property nearly 2,000 miles away on the coast of South Carolina. The property was listed as Blackwater Grand Hotel. Owen had never seen it. He barely remembered meeting Walter once as a child. The inheritance made no sense. What made even less sense was the attached note, written in shaky handwriting. It contained only one sentence: "The hotel belongs to you now. Trust the dog." Owen read those words 3 times before folding the paper. Chief walked over and rested his head against Owen's leg as if he could sense the weight of the moment. 2 weeks later, after a long drive across several states, Owen finally saw Blackwater Grand for the first time. The massive structure stood alone near the shoreline, its dark silhouette rising against a gray sky. Even from a distance, he could see the scars left by the fire. Large sections of the exterior were blackened, and several windows had been boarded up for years. Tall seagrass swayed around the property like waves surrounding an abandoned ship. Chief sat upright in the passenger seat, staring through the windshield. Unlike most dogs approaching a new place, he did not seem curious. He seemed focused. As Owen parked near the front entrance, a cold ocean breeze rolled across the empty lot. The hotel looked forgotten by time, yet something about it felt strangely alive. He stepped out of the truck and studied the faded sign hanging above the entrance. Blackwater Grand. Established 1948. Closed 2004. The numbers stirred questions he could not answer. Why had his uncle kept this place? Why leave it to him? And why had a complete stranger warned him to get rid of it before sunset? Chief suddenly moved ahead, pulling lightly on his leash. His ears stood high. His eyes locked on the building. Owen followed the dog toward the entrance, but before they reached the doors, a pickup truck appeared from the road and slowed beside them. The driver lowered his window and looked directly at Owen. His expression was not friendly. It was concerned. "You the new owner?" he asked. Owen nodded. The man glanced at the hotel, then at Chief. "Then you should know something. For 22 years, people have been trying to forget what's hidden inside that place." Before Owen could respond, the man drove away. Chief remained perfectly still, staring at the burned hotel as if he already knew where the secrets were waiting. Owen watched the pickup disappear down the coastal road until its taillights vanished behind a row of windswept oak trees. The warning lingered in his mind. People have been trying to forget what is hidden inside that place. He looked down at Chief. "What do you think, partner?" Chief remained focused on the hotel, his ears forward and his body tense. Owen had learned long ago to trust the dog's instincts. They had carried them through storms, difficult terrain, and more than a few bad decisions. The front doors groaned as Owen pushed them open. A faint smell of smoke still lingered despite the years that had passed. Sunlight filtered through broken windows, casting long shadows across the abandoned lobby. Dust covered everything. An old reception desk stood crooked near the center of the room. A grand staircase rose toward the upper floors, though sections of the railing had been damaged by the fire. "Well," Owen said quietly, "I have definitely inherited a fixer-upper." His voice echoed through the empty building. Chief moved ahead slowly, sniffing the floor. The dog paused near the reception desk, then continued deeper into the lobby. Owen noticed something strange. Despite years of neglect, there were no signs of vandalism, no graffiti, no broken furniture scattered around. It was as if people had deliberately stayed away. A sharp knock suddenly echoed from the entrance behind him. Owen turned to find a woman standing in the doorway, holding a leather briefcase. She appeared to be in her 40s, professionally dressed despite the coastal wind outside. "Mr. Maddox?" she asked. "That is me. My name is Rebecca Sloan. I handled part of your uncle's estate." Owen shook her hand. "You picked an interesting place for a meeting." Rebecca glanced around uneasily. "I hope to catch you before someone else did." "Someone else?" She opened her briefcase and handed him a business card. "You are going to receive offers to sell this property. Some will sound generous, some will sound urgent. My advice is simple. Do not sell," Owen asked. Rebecca gave a small smile. "Exactly. Owen studied her expression. Why? She hesitated. Because your uncle spent 22 years making sure this property stayed in the family. Before Owen could ask another question, Chief suddenly stepped between them and stared toward the far end of the lobby. His posture changed instantly. Every muscle tightened. "Chief?" Owen called. The dog ignored him. Rebecca followed the dog's gaze. Her face lost color. "That is strange," she whispered. "What is?" Owen asked. The old east wing was completely sealed after the fire. Chief began walking toward a dark hallway leading away from the lobby. He did not run, he did not bark. He simply moved with purpose. Owen followed. "Where are you going, buddy?" The hallway grew cooler with every step. Dust covered the floor except for one narrow section near the wall. Owen crouched down. "That is odd." Rebecca leaned closer. "What is it?" Owen pointed. No dust. There was a clean strip of floor nearly 3 feet wide stretching toward the east wing, as if something had been moved there recently. Rebecca stared at it in disbelief. That cannot be possible. Chief stopped at the end of the hallway beside a large section of charred wall. Then he sat down and looked directly at Owen. "You found something, did you not?" Owen said. Chief lifted one paw and placed it against the wall. A dull metallic sound echoed from behind the burned surface. Owen and Rebecca exchanged a look. Whatever people had spent 22 years trying to forget, it was beginning to make itself known. The metallic sound lingered in the hallway. Owen stepped closer and pressed his knuckles against the charred wall. The same hollow echo answered from somewhere behind it. "That is not part of the original structure," he said. Rebecca folded her arms nervously. "The building plans I reviewed never showed anything behind this section." Owen looked at Chief. "Good catch, partner." Chief wagged his tail once, but kept his attention fixed on the wall. Owen ran his hand across the burned surface until his fingers brushed something smooth beneath the soot. He wiped away years of dust and revealed a small steel plate no larger than a dinner tray. "Well, that definitely does not belong in a hotel hallway." Rebecca leaned forward. "Can you open it?" "Not without tools." As they examined the plate, the sound of an engine echoed outside. Moments later, another vehicle pulled into the parking lot. Owen glanced through a nearby window. A black luxury SUV had arrived. "Looks like company." The front doors opened and a tall man in an expensive navy suit walked into the lobby. He appeared confident, as though he belonged there. A silver ring gleamed on his hand. The moment Chief saw him, the dog stood and released a low growl. Rebecca quietly sighed. "I was afraid of this." "You know him?" Owen asked. "Everyone in town knows him." The man approached with a practiced smile. "Mr. Maddox, welcome to Blackwater Bay." He extended his hand. "Graham Whitaker." Owen shook it briefly. "Can I help you?" Graham looked around the damaged hallway. "Actually, I believe I can help you. I own Whitaker Development. We have transformed dozens of abandoned coastal properties." Owen noticed Chief staring at the silver ring. The dog did not take his eyes off it. "That is impressive," Owen said. "Then you know this place is beyond saving." Graham smiled again. "Exactly, which is why I am prepared to make you a very generous offer today." Rebecca immediately stepped forward. "Mr. Whitaker, the estate transfer was finalized less than a week ago." Graham ignored her. "You inherited a liability. I am offering an opportunity." Owen folded his arms. "How generous." Graham named a figure. It sounded substantial until Owen considered the size of the property. Even then, something felt off. "That seems fast," Owen said. "Most buyers would inspect the place first." Graham's smile tightened. "Some properties are worth acting quickly on." Chief suddenly barked once. The sharp sound echoed through the hallway. Graham glanced down at the dog. For the first time, his confidence wavered. "He does not seem to like me." "Chief usually has a reason," Owen replied calmly. An awkward silence followed. Finally, Graham reached into his pocket and handed over a business card. "Think it over. My offer expires in 48 hours. "Why the rush?" Owen asked. Graham paused near the entrance. "Because some buildings are better left in the past." After he left, Rebecca stared at the closing door. That is the 3rd time this month he has tried to acquire this property. Owen looked back toward the steel plate hidden behind the burned wall. "Then, maybe this building is worth a lot more than he wants me to believe." Chief immediately walked back to the wall and touched it with his paw again. This time, Owen noticed something he had missed before. Etched into the corner of the metal plate was a symbol nearly hidden beneath the soot. He wiped it clean and froze. The emblem was not from the hotel. It was a Navy insignia. Rebecca stared at it in disbelief. Why would that be here? Owen slowly shook his head. "I do not know." Chief sat beside the wall and looked directly at him. For the 2nd time since arriving, Owen had the unmistakable feeling that the dog already knew where the answers were hidden. Owen spent the next hour studying the metal plate while Rebecca searched through digital copies of old property records on her tablet. The ocean wind rattled loose boards somewhere above them, but inside the hallway, everything felt strangely still. "There has to be a way to open this," Owen said. He carefully brushed away more soot from the steel surface. Chief sat beside him, watching every movement. Rebecca suddenly looked up from the screen. "Owen, you need to see this." He walked over. "What did you find?" The East Wing was renovated in 1983. The contractor records mention a secure storage area. "Storage for what?" Rebecca shook her head. "That information is missing." Owen frowned. "Missing by accident?" "I do not think so." Chief stood up and walked farther down the hallway. His nails clicked against the floor before he stopped beside an old brass wall lamp. He sniffed it once, then pawed at the base. Owen followed. Another clue? He inspected the fixture. At first it looked ordinary, but then he noticed the metal had been polished recently. Everything else nearby was covered in dust. This piece was not. "Rebecca, look at this." She stepped closer. Someone touched it. Owen gripped the fixture and gently turned it. A faint mechanical click echoed inside the wall. Both of them froze. "Did you hear that?" Rebecca asked. Before Owen could answer, a section of the charred wall shifted inward by several inches. Dust drifted into the air. Chief immediately stepped back and wagged his tail. "Good boy," Owen said with a laugh. "I think you just found the front door." Together, they pushed the hidden panel open. Behind it was a narrow passageway leading into darkness. Rebecca stared in disbelief. "That has been hidden all these years?" Owen shined a flashlight inside. "Looks that way." The corridor extended roughly 30 feet before turning out of sight. The walls were reinforced with concrete instead of wood. Nothing about it matched the rest of the hotel. "Your uncle knew this was here," Rebecca said quietly. Owen remembered the handwritten note. "Trust the dog." For the first time, the message felt less mysterious and more like instructions. Chief stepped into the passage without hesitation. "Slow down, buddy," Owen called as he followed. The air grew cooler as they moved deeper underground. After a short walk, they reached a steel door. Unlike everything else in the building, it looked almost untouched by time. Mounted beside it was a small plaque. Owen aimed the flashlight at the inscription and felt a chill run through him. "What does it say?" Rebecca asked. Owen read the words aloud. "Property of the Coastal Veterans Relief Trust. Authorized access only." Rebecca's eyes widened. "I have never heard of that organization." "Neither have I." Before either could say more, Chief began sniffing near the bottom of the door. Then he barked twice. Owen lowered the flashlight beam and noticed a weathered envelope wedged beneath the frame. His name was written across the front in faded ink. "Owen Maddox." Rebecca looked stunned. "That letter was left for you." Owen carefully picked it up. The handwriting matched the note from his uncle. As he opened the envelope, a single key slipped into his hand along with a folded piece of paper. He unfolded it and read the first line. The moment he did, his expression changed completely. "What is it?" Rebecca asked. Owen slowly looked toward the sealed steel door. "My uncle says the people trying to buy this hotel already know what is behind that door." Rebecca stared at Owen. "Your uncle actually wrote that?" Owen nodded and handed her the letter. She quickly read the first page while Chief remained beside the steel door. The dog seemed unusually calm now, as if reaching this place had been his goal all along. "Listen to this," Rebecca said quietly. "If you are reading this, it means Chief found the passage. Trust what he finds next. The truth was never hidden from the right people. It was hidden from the wrong ones." Owen folded his arms. "My uncle knew somebody would come looking." Rebecca handed back the letter. Apparently, he expected it. Owen looked at the old brass key resting in his palm. It was heavy and worn smooth from years of use. He stepped toward the steel door, only one way to find out. The key slid into the lock with surprising ease. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a series of mechanical clicks echoed through the corridor. The door slowly swung inward. Cool air drifted out from the darkness beyond. Owen raised his flashlight and stepped inside. Rebecca followed close behind. The room beyond was far larger than either expected. Metal shelves lined the walls. Filing cabinets stood in neat rows. Several wooden crates rested beneath protective tarps. Most surprising of all, everything appeared organized. "This is not storage," Rebecca whispered. "This is an archive." Owen moved deeper into the room. A long table occupied the center. On top sat dozens of binders, boxes of documents, and framed photographs. Chief walked directly to the table and stopped. His nose nudged a thick binder near the edge. Owen picked it up. Across the front cover were printed words: Coastal Veterans Relief Trust, Annual Records. Rebecca's eyes widened. That is the organization on the plaque. Owen opened the binder. Inside were financial statements, property records, donation logs, and trust documents spanning decades. He flipped through several pages. The numbers grew larger with every year. "This trust owned land," he said, "a lot of land." Rebecca leaned closer. How much? Owen kept turning pages. Then he stopped. More than 50 properties across 4 states. That is impossible. Apparently not. Chief suddenly trotted toward a nearby cabinet. He pawed at the bottom drawer. Owen opened it and found several sealed folders. One was labeled beneficiaries. Another was labeled trust assets. A third carried a handwritten warning, open last. Rebecca pointed to the trust assets folder. Start there. Owen opened it carefully. Several pages slid onto the table. Maps, property deeds, investment statements, mineral rights agreements. Rebecca grabbed a calculator from her briefcase and began reviewing the figures. 5 minutes later, she looked up in complete disbelief. Owen, what? These numbers cannot be right. How bad? Not bad. She swallowed hard. The documented assets alone exceed $200 million. Owen stared at her. 200 million? And that is only what I can verify immediately. Silence filled the room. Chief sat beside the table, watching both of them. Then a sound echoed from somewhere above, a distant door closing. Owen instantly looked toward the ceiling. Rebecca heard it too. Tell me we are alone down here. Owen's expression hardened. I do not think we are. Chief stood and faced the corridor leading back toward the hidden entrance. His ears rose. His eyes locked on the darkness. Someone else had entered the hotel. Chief released a low growl and took 2 slow steps toward the corridor. Owen immediately switched off the flashlight and motioned for Rebecca to stay quiet. The underground room fell into near darkness, except for a faint emergency light mounted near the ceiling. Footsteps echoed somewhere beyond the steel door, not hurried, deliberate. Someone was exploring the hidden passage. Rebecca lowered her voice. Do you think it is Whitaker? Owen listened carefully. I do not know, but whoever it is knows enough to find the entrance. The footsteps stopped. Silence followed. Then a beam of light briefly swept across the corridor outside. Chief remained perfectly still. Owen gently rested a hand on the dog's neck. Easy, partner. After several tense moments, the light disappeared. A minute later, they heard another sound. A distant door opening and then closing somewhere above the hotel. Whoever had entered appeared to be leaving. Rebecca finally exhaled. That was too close. Owen nodded. Which means the letter was right. Somebody knows this place exists. He turned back toward the table. We need to understand what we found before they come back. Rebecca resumed examining the documents. Chief relaxed and lay beside the table, though his eyes remained fixed on the corridor. Owen opened another binder. This one contained photographs dating back decades. Most showed groups of military veterans standing outside buildings, schools, workshops, and housing communities. These are not investment projects, Owen said. They are support programs. Rebecca looked over his shoulder. Housing assistance, job placement, medical grants. She flipped through several pages. This trust helped thousands of veterans. Owen continued reading. The deeper he looked, the stranger the story became. Every record pointed to one conclusion. The trust had generated enormous wealth through land purchases made generations earlier. Yet very little of that wealth had ever been publicly reported. How could something this large stay hidden? Rebecca asked. Owen pulled another folder from the cabinet. Inside was a newspaper clipping from 22 years earlier. The headline immediately caught his attention. Historic coastal hotel destroyed in overnight fire. Below the article was a handwritten note from his uncle. They believed the records were gone. Rebecca read the sentence twice. Gone? Owen reached into the folder and found several more clippings. Each described the same event, the hotel fire, insurance investigations, property deeds, ownership challenges. Yet one name appeared repeatedly throughout the articles. Graham Whitaker's father. Rebecca looked stunned. The Whitaker family has been connected to this property for decades. Owen nodded slowly. And apparently they believed everything stored here disappeared when the hotel burned. Chief suddenly stood and walked toward another shelf in the far corner. He nudged a wooden box hidden behind several binders. Owen opened it. Inside sat dozens of cassette recordings carefully labeled by year. On top rested a small digital recorder that looked much newer than everything else. A note had been attached to it. For Owen, he pressed the play button. Static crackled for a moment before an elderly voice filled the room. It was his uncle. Owen, if you are hearing this, then Chief succeeded where I hoped he would. The trust is larger than you realize. The documents are important, but they are not the secret. The real secret is hidden beneath the marina property, listed in File 73. Find that file before Whitaker does. Everything depends on it. The recording ended. Rebecca stared at Owen. What is File 73? Owen turned toward the shelves. Somewhere in this room was the answer his uncle had protected for more than 2 decades. For the next 30 minutes, the hidden archive became a maze of folders, maps, and numbered files. Owen and Rebecca searched shelf after shelf while Chief moved quietly between them. "There are hundreds of records here," Rebecca said. "Your uncle organized everything." Owen checked another cabinet. He was preparing for somebody to continue his work, or finish it. Finally, near the back of the room, Owen located a thick gray binder marked File 73. Chief immediately walked over and sat beside it. Owen smiled. "You keep proving your uncle right." He placed the binder on the table and opened it. The first page contained aerial photographs of a marina located 12 miles south of the hotel. The second page showed property ownership records stretching back almost 50 years. Rebecca studied the documents. The trust owned this marina? Apparently. Owen turned another page. A detailed map unfolded across the table. Several locations had been circled in red. One section beneath the marina docks carried a handwritten note from Walter Maddox. "Start here." Rebecca frowned. "What exactly are we looking at?" Owen continued reading. Then he stopped. "You are not going to believe this. Try me." He handed her the page. A geological survey had been attached beneath the map. According to the report, valuable mineral deposits had been discovered beneath large sections of coastal land decades earlier. The rights connected to those deposits had never been publicly transferred. Rebecca's eyes widened. This alone could explain the trust's value. Owen nodded slowly. "And maybe explain why somebody wanted the records destroyed." As they continued reviewing the file, another document slipped from between the pages. It was a signed agreement dated 23 years earlier. Several signatures appeared at the bottom. One belonged to Walter Maddox. Another belonged to a former trustee. The third signature caused both of them to freeze. Graham Whitaker. Rebecca looked stunned. His family was not chasing the secret. Owen slowly shook his head. They were already part of it. Silence filled the room. Everything suddenly made more sense. The repeated attempts to buy the hotel, the urgency, the warnings, the hidden archive. Someone had known exactly what was buried inside the trust for decades. Chief suddenly stood and trotted toward the corridor. His ears rose sharply. Owen immediately noticed the change. "What is it?" The dog stared toward the entrance. Then came a sound. A distant engine outside the hotel. This time it was not one vehicle, it was several. Rebecca walked to the corridor and listened. "They are back." Owen closed the binder and slipped it into a waterproof bag resting nearby. "Then we are done searching for tonight." They carefully secured the most important files. As they prepared to leave, Owen noticed one final envelope tucked inside File C-73. His name was written across the front. He opened it and unfolded a single sheet of paper. The handwriting belonged to Walter. "If Whitaker discovers the truth, he will try to control it. Do not let him decide who benefits from this trust. It belongs to the veterans who built it." Rebecca looked up. "Your uncle knew exactly what was coming." Owen folded the letter and placed it inside his jacket. "Then we should be ready too." When they emerged from the hidden passage and stepped back into the burned hotel lobby, flashing lights reflected through the broken windows. Several vehicles had arrived outside, but they were not construction crews or investors. The words printed across the nearest door immediately caught Owen's attention. "County Property Investigation Unit." Rebecca stared through the window. That cannot be a coincidence. Owen watched as officials approached the entrance carrying folders and cameras. Whatever was happening next, somebody had decided to move the battle into public view. The officials entered the hotel lobby with cameras, clipboards, and evidence bags. Chief remained beside Owen, watching every movement. A woman wearing a county identification badge approached first. "Mr. Maddox." Owen nodded. "That is me. I am investigator Karen Holt. We received information regarding historical property records connected to this building." Rebecca exchanged a quick glance with Owen. "Information from whom?" Karen smiled politely. "I am afraid I cannot disclose that." Before Owen could respond, another familiar voice echoed from the entrance. "I hope I am not interrupting." Graham Whitaker stepped into the lobby wearing the same confident expression Owen had seen before. This time, however, several attorneys accompanied him. Chief immediately stood and stared at Graham. Karen noticed the reaction. "You know each other?" Graham answered before Owen could. "We have discussed the future of this property." Owen folded his arms. "That is one way to describe it." Graham smiled. "Mr. Maddox inherited a complicated situation. My company simply wants to help." Rebecca quietly shook her head. "You seem unusually interested in helping." Graham ignored the comment and turned toward Karen. "I trust the county will conduct a thorough review. There are many unanswered questions surrounding this building." Owen studied him carefully. Something felt different. Graham no longer seemed confident that Owen would sell. Instead, he appeared concerned about what might be discovered. Karen opened her folder. "Actually, that is why we are here. Earlier today, our office received documents suggesting that certain trust assets may have been improperly reported decades ago. Graham's smile faded slightly. Rebecca noticed immediately. Owen did too. Karen continued, "We intend to verify ownership records and beneficiary agreements." Chief suddenly walked toward Graham and stopped directly in front of him. The dog lowered his nose toward the silver ring Graham always wore. Then Chief sat down and stared at it. Graham shifted uncomfortably. "Control your dog." Owen remained calm. "Chief is very well behaved." Rebecca suddenly looked thoughtful. "Wait a second." She stepped closer to Graham's hand. "May I see that ring?" Graham pulled his hand back. "Why?" Rebecca opened her tablet and quickly searched through several photographs from the archive. Moments later, she held up an old image from nearly 25 years earlier. Several trustees stood together outside the marina property. One elderly man wore a distinctive silver ring engraved with a unique crest. Rebecca looked at Graham, then at the photograph, then back again. "That is the same ring." Silence filled the lobby. Karen immediately took interest. "Same ring?" Rebecca enlarged the image. "The crest matches perfectly." Karen studied the photograph. Who was the man wearing it? Owen already knew the answer. He had seen the name several times throughout the records. One of the original trustees. Karen looked directly at Graham. "A relative." Graham hesitated. It was the first time Owen had seen him lose composure. "My grandfather." Karen nodded slowly and made a note. Suddenly, one of the investigators approached carrying a box discovered elsewhere in the hotel. "Ma'am, you need to see this." Karen opened the box and removed several sealed files. The first page immediately caught her attention. Her expression changed. "Mr. Maddox," she said quietly, "these records contain signed agreements naming every beneficiary of the trust." Rebecca looked hopeful. "Then everything can finally be verified." Karen nodded. "Yes." She glanced toward Graham. "And if these documents are authentic, ownership of the trust was never supposed to pass into private hands." For the first time all day, Graham had no response. Owen looked down at Chief. The dog calmly wagged his tail. Piece by piece, the truth his uncle protected for 22 years was finally coming into the light. 3 months later, the ocean breeze carried a very different feeling across the old property. Construction crews moved carefully through the grounds. Restoration plans covered temporary office walls, and the burned structure that many people had written off for decades was finally coming back to life. Owen stood on the front steps beside Chief, watching workers unload supplies from a truck. "Looks a little different from the day we arrived," Rebecca said as she joined him. Owen smiled. "That is an understatement." Chief wagged his tail and leaned against Owen's leg. The investigation had changed everything. Once the hidden records were verified, county officials confirmed that the trust had never been intended for private ownership. Walter Maddox and the original trustees had created it to support veterans and their families for generations. The missing files, property records, mineral rights agreements, and beneficiary lists revealed the full picture. The trust's assets exceeded $300 million, but more importantly, the wealth was legally protected for the people it was meant to serve. Graham Whitaker and several associated claims were dismissed after the historical records established the trust's original structure and purpose. What many had believed was a forgotten ruin turned out to be the center of one of the largest veteran support networks in the region. Rebecca handed Owen a folder. The board approved the final proposal this morning. Owen opened it. Across the top was the new name of the property, Blackwater Veterans Harbor. He looked up. They really chose it, unanimously. Owen laughed softly. "Walter would have liked that." Rebecca nodded. "I think he planned it all along." Nearby, several local residents gathered for a community meeting. Many had once avoided the property entirely. Now they volunteered to help restore it. An older man approached Owen and extended his hand. "I owe you an apology." Owen shook it. "For what?" "For telling you to sell the place." Owen smiled. "You were not the only one." The man glanced at Chief. "Truth is, most of us stopped believing anything good could come from this building." He reached down and patted Chief's head. "Looks like your partner knew better." "He usually does," Owen replied. Later that afternoon, Owen walked through the restored section of the East Wing. New flooring had been installed, fresh paint covered the walls, and sunlight streamed through newly repaired windows. Chief trotted ahead before stopping beside a framed photograph mounted near the entrance. It showed Walter Maddox standing with veterans, volunteers, and community leaders many years earlier. Beneath the photograph was a simple plaque. "Service does not end when the uniform comes off." Owen stood quietly for a moment. "You kept your promise, Uncle Walter." Chief sat beside him. The dog looked toward the window overlooking the ocean. Owen followed his gaze. Beyond the shoreline, The marina property sparkled beneath the afternoon sun. The future of the trust was secure. Thousands of veterans would benefit from the resources Walter had protected. The hotel would become housing, training space, and support services for people who needed a second chance. Owen felt something he had not expected when he first received that strange letter months earlier. Peace. Rebecca appeared in the doorway. The ceremony starts in 10 minutes. Owen nodded. We should not keep them waiting. As they walked toward the front entrance, Chief remained beside him, just as he always had. Through every clue, every hidden passage, every mystery, and every challenge, the German Shepherd had led the way. Owen looked down at his old friend and smiled. Come on, Chief. We have a place to open. Together they stepped into the sunlight, not as the owners of a secret, but as the guardians of a legacy that would help others for generations to come. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with friends who might enjoy it too. We would love to know where you are watching from. Tell us your city and country in the comments. More heartfelt and unforgettable hero dog stories are already waiting for you. See you in the next one.